You're listening to Just Hit Play with your hosts, Peter and Nick Cabral. If you're tired of your stagnant, streamed music feed, then strap yourselves in for an intergenerational sonic journey through Peter and Nick's favourite songs.
Welcome to episode 157 of Just Hit Play. I'm your host, Peter. With me is my co-host, Nick. Nick, how's it going?
It's going very well. As I said last episode, I'm now on my winter break, which means a vacation from school, which is much needed. I feel very relaxed. I feel zen. So all is good in the world.
Yeah, same here. I finished working, so I'm done for the year. I had a really, I think I worked over 40 hours in 3 days doing graduation photography. So I was a little bit tired. I've had some rest, so I feel a little bit better. I have so much laundry to do, and I've put all my camera gear is just strewn all over the house. So I have to put that away and charge batteries and all that kind of stuff. But I'm happy to be done for the year.
Yeah, it's a lovely time of year, isn't it? When things start winding down a bit, and you sort of sense everybody just retreating for the holidays. It's nice.
Yeah, I have a work Christmas party today at 1:00 that I'm going to go to. That's pretty much my last obligation up until Angie's birthday is on the 27th. So that's obviously we're going to be doing something for her birthday and Christmas with family and things like that, as you're well aware, which I'm assuming you're doing as well. And other than that, it's just relaxing. I think on Christmas Day, we're making pizzas for lunch. We'll invite her brother over. We'll just all make pizzas and watch really bad horror movies, that kind of thing. So that's pretty much what we're doing for the rest of the year.
Nice. That sounds fantastic.
Yeah. Do you have plans for New Year's Eve?
New Year's Eve is in flux right now. Mm-hmm. We're not sure what we want to do yet. Mm-hmm. But I have plans for New Year's Day, or I guess New Year's Eve day. We're seeing Nosferatu, which I'm extremely excited for that movie.
Yeah, me too.
I really can't wait for that. Yeah,
I can't wait for that too. I'm really excited for that. Normally what I do on New Year's Day is I wake up and photograph the sunrise. So that's a tradition I've pretty much had up until a couple of years ago. I got really sick. The problem with me doing all these graduations is that I'm doing like crazy hours. I did 30 hours in 2 days. So I did 2 15-hour days. And I literally am around thousands and thousands of people. So sometimes I get really sick afterwards. And I don't feel great right now. But I'm not, I got COVID 1 year after graduation. So it's not that bad. But I'm not feeling 100%, just interacting with hundreds and hundreds of people.
Yeah, it's the graduation flu.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't really have a lot to talk about. I think we're going to take a break for Christmas and New Year's, so we'll be back in about 3 weeks after this episode. But let's get into it, because I really want to talk about your song.
Yeah, absolutely. This week, I got you to listen to a track by Phoebe Bridgers. It's called So Much Wine. It was part of her annual Christmas tradition, which is to release a Christmassy song. And I'm really a big fan of this one, so I thought it'd be appropriate to play it this week. So why don't we just hit play on So Much Wine by Phoebe Bridgers.
Nothing to say on Christmas Day when you threw all your clothes in the snow, when you burnt your hair and knocked over chairs.
All right, so this is, I'd say, my favorite type of Christmas song, where it's only sort of tangentially related to Christmas. Do you agree? Do you like songs like that, or do you prefer the classics?
No, I'm with you. It's very melancholy too, which I like, because Christmas obviously can be a very happy time, especially when you're a kid and getting gifts, but it doesn't have to be a happy time. And there's a lot of melancholy in this song, and especially at the beginning of the song, it talks about a lot of really dark subject matter, which I like too. Really love the song. I've never heard it before. I'm guessing it's a new song. It's not a cover. It's not like a standard Christmas track. It must be a new song.
Firstly, I'm with you. I love this song. I think it's really, really somber and melancholy, exactly. And I think that's an underappreciated vibe and aspect of Christmas is the melancholia and everything that goes along with that. However, this is actually a cover.
Okay.
This is a cover of a song by the same name, obviously, by the band The Handsome Family. It came out in 2000. Now, have you ever heard of The Handsome Family?
Nope, never heard of them.
They are an alternative country and Americana duo,
Okay.
husband and wife, that based out of Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd never heard of them either, other than when I did research for this song. I didn't even know the song was a cover, to tell you the truth, until I started prepping for this episode.
Sure. And that makes a lot of sense because one of my, I wrote down my comments, and one of the things I wrote down is it has a really lovely country twang to it. And now that I know it's like an alternative country song, that makes perfect sense because that country twang is prevalent through the whole song. So that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, exactly. And I did listen to the original, and it's actually like her cover is a lot slower and a lot more mellow. The original is definitely a bit more upbeat, whereas I think Phoebe really turned it on its head and made it what it is. Like, to be frank, I think her version is miles better. No offense to the Handsome Family, but yeah, it's a good song.
I think that's the key when recording covers is you have to make it your own. Obviously, it has to have some similarity because it's a cover. You know, that's fine. But when you record a cover and it sounds exactly like the original, why am I going to listen to your cover? I think Post Malone did a cover of Smells Like Teen Spirit, and it sounded just like Teen Spirit, and people were saying how amazing it was. I was like, yeah, Nirvana did an amazing job. You know, he just re-recorded Teen Spirit, and it was, neat to do it. If you want to do an alternative version of it, Tori Amos does a really slowed down version of a lot of Nirvana songs. That's an interesting take. Recording a song completely the same is not an interesting take.
Yeah, no, I'm in agreement with you on that, and I think with this one, she definitely made it her own song. Again, to the point where I had no clue this was a cover.
Right.
I just assumed it was a Phoebe original, but yeah, it's really good. And what this song reminds me of is, have you seen The Bear, the TV show?
I haven't yet. No.
Oh man, there's an episode of The Bear in season 2. Where this song it fits perfectly, and just like describing like some sort of event on Christmas, like alcohol involved, like a big argument or fight. It's very visceral imagery, and not everyone may have memories like that, but you can just imagine like how dramatic a fight at a family Christmas or something would be. And so I think that's what makes this song so interesting, is it evokes that imagery of something that's supposed to be a happy, joyous gathering turned, depressing. And I think that's a really interesting thing.
I have never had a really horrible Christmas family fight ever. Like, I always got along with my parents. I got along with my brothers pretty well. Have you ever experienced anything like that?
No, nothing like that.
Yeah. But that is the reality.
I'm sure it's happened.
No, that's the reality in some families. There is a contentious, whether it's political views, religious views, past history, there is a contention in most families. I've never felt that personally. I've been to a lot of Christmas parties. I've been to a lot of people's houses for Christmas party, not only my own, and I have never once felt anything quite like what she's describing in the song. But yeah, it is a reality for some people.
I guess you haven't been at a Christmas party where someone's trying to drink all the wine, literally all the wine.
No,
I guess that might do it.
Yeah, that'll do it. So would this be a song that she would play live? Like, what is this, a Christmas album? Like, what's the story of this song?
So I'm not sure if she is actually still doing it. I'm not sure when she last released one, but for about 6 years, she had a run of releasing Christmas songs every year, and this was just 2022's Christmas song. Definitely like a deep cut, I'd say. Like, there's no chance she would play this live, but
right, unless it's Christmas or something.
Yeah, maybe if she happened to have a concert on Christmas.
Yeah.
My other favorite Christmas song by her is she did one. It was like a Silent Night, basically, and it had with Fiona Apple and the lead singer from The National, Matt Berninger.
Nice.
Yeah, that one's really good.
Yeah. Oh, those are three very different voices.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Fiona Apple and Phoebe Bridgers, well, both female, do not sound alike, and the guy from The National definitely has an interesting voice. And I'll have to see if I can dig that one out.
Yeah. It's very interesting. Well, the guy from The National is more reading.
Okay,
It's an interesting song. He's reading like a news headlines basically in the background of the song. It's a political statement of a song. We'll say that.
Right. Gotcha. Yeah, cool. I'll have to search that one out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And another interesting thing about this song is that at the time of recording this, Phoebe Bridgers was in a relationship with Paul Mescal, the actor,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
recently in Gladiator 2. He has background vocals on this song. To my knowledge, it's the only song he's ever contributed to.
Right.
So that's cool, I guess.
Well, he's definitely blowing up right now. He's been in a lot of things. Gladiator 2, perfect example. So he's hot property right now.
He sure is, yeah. I know him from Normal People, one of my favorite books and shows. So yeah, he's huge. They're no longer together, but he will live on in the recording of So Much Wine.
There you go. Yeah. No, good song. I'll add it to my repertoire, especially around Christmas time. Usually, I like a little bit of a diverse Christmas music. I love Hawaiian Christmas songs. I think they're really cheesy and beautiful. That's usually where I gravitate. A lot of Elvis. The Pogues have a great Christmas song, Fairy Tale in New York, about waking up in the drunk tank on Christmas Day.
Nice.
So yeah, those are the kinds of songs that I gravitate to. The Mariah Careys, the Bublés, not so much. I think you hear them enough in the stores. Yeah, I specifically love Hawaiian Christmas music.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like, not Hawaiian music maybe, but I don't like all of the quote unquote classics because I'll hear them
so much
I'll hear them without consenting to. You know what I mean? I'll just hear them in the background. And when I'm putting on my own Christmas music, I prefer other stuff like this. And lastly, I think it's cool that as with all of her holiday songs, Phoebe Bridgers donates the proceeds of all of them to the Los Angeles LGBTQ Center, which specializes in dealing with substance abuse and people living with HIV. So it goes to a good cause.
It's so funny you brought that up. I read a weird fact about the term LGBT.
Okay.
Where originally it was GLBT, but it got changed because in the 80s and early 90s, when the AIDS epidemic was happening, the one group of people that really stood by gay men, because gay men were affected by AIDS horribly, and it was I don't know if you know this, but in the early 80s, it was known as a gay disease, AIDS, because it really affected gay men. And the one group of people that really stood up for gay men and went to see them in hospital and donated blood for them and did so much for them were lesbians. And in honor of that, they changed it to LGBT.
Okay, so that got them top billing.
Yeah. I did not know that.
Slot.
I did not know that fact about what was happening in the AIDS epidemic. I would have been really young at the time, and you wouldn't have been alive. So I didn't know that's how that term came along.
There you go. Very fun fact. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, no problem. Love the song. Can't wait to add it in. I know Angie hates this kind of music, so it'll be fun to play it when she's around, so she can rail against me for playing this kind of music. So that's always nice.
Nice. Good luck with that.
Thank you. Now for something completely different.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
So I'm getting you to listen to songs that I like by bands that I hate. I cannot describe to you how much I hate Van Halen. They are, and this is a personal thing. Van Halen is loved. People love Van Halen, and people love this album specifically, and this song specifically, which came out in 1978 on their debut album. This really introduced Van Halen as a hard rock, heavy metal Eddie Van Halen, the guitar player who shines in the song, sort of became a rock god, a guitar god because of this song. This is the only song by Van Halen that I like. So we're going to listen to Van Halen, Running with the Devil. Darren, just hit play. Okay, as I mentioned, it came out in 1978. It is a very dated song. You can tell it's from the early 80s or late 70s. So what did you think of Running with the Devil?
Yeah, I like this song. I have nothing against this song. It didn't offend me in any way with its sound. I thought, it was just a perfectly fine, serviceable, classic rock song.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing is, I feel like I've heard this song
right.
a million times before in other forms. Like in other songs, it's just I don't know if it's just, I don't know what it is. Maybe this is just me being like a young, irreverent kid, but like so many songs like this just sound alike to me.
Well, you're listening to the original, right? So
yeah, fair enough.
Eddie Van Halen guitar style has been copied a lot. So he was the one that really made, the finger tapping. Have you ever seen guitar players do the finger tapping on the guitar?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, that's Eddie Van Halen sort of started that movement, and he was one of the first players to perform like that. So when it comes to guitar gods or rock gods, Eddie Van Halen is like, Jimi Hendrix level kind of guitar hero, right? So that is where this music comes from that they're referring to, that you've heard this a lot. This is, we're going to the source here.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, if you spoke very highly of Eddie Van Halen just there. So why then do you dislike the band so much?
Right. This is what I'll tell you. It's gymnastics. It's guitar gymnastics. I like working class music.
Okay.
I would rather listen to The Clash, and we're going to bring up The Clash later. I'd rather listen to The Clash or U2 or a working band, someone that has corners. I think, there are some wonderful guitar players that release shit music. And Van Halen is a perfect example of that, where, they've released some absolute shit music because of the guitar god, and that is seen as okay by some people. Not me personally. I don't like this kind of style.
Okay, so you think this is just tippy tappy nonsense, and you'd rather just
not this song.
442, just hoof it down the wing, cross it to the big man, that sort of music.
I like corners. I like songs that are contained. I don't really like showing off. Like, if you're gonna, but I love bands like Led Zeppelin. But Led Zeppelin are originators. Everything is a pale comparison to Led Zeppelin. I like punk rock. I like dirty rock and roll. You mentioned I don't like the Barcelona style of football. I like powerful. I don't, not necessarily lump it long and chase it, but I like directional football. If we can go to that, like this fancy guitar playing, I'm not a fan of it.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense to me for sure. Like I get that, and I think the only other Van Halen song I know is Jump. They did Jump, right?
Yes, they did. Yes.
Yeah, I like that song. I think that song's fun. I mean, it's brutally simple. I think anyone in the world could have made that song, but it's pretty good. And this one, like, same thing. It doesn't really stand out to me in any huge way. I know it's the source, it's the original, but to me it just sounds like just another classic rock song. And again, I'm acknowledging that might be heresy.
No, you're good.
It just sounds like classic rock to me. It all sounds the same.
Now you mentioned Jump, which came out in 1984 on an album called 1984, so it's easy to remember what year it came out on. I would have been 10 years old when that album came out, and that's one of the first albums that I ever bought. Loved Van Halen 1984. Loved Jump as a child. As I grew older, I don't like it anymore. Great example of a band that reached their pinnacle in 1984. And an interesting thing happened to the band is their lead singer, David Lee Roth. So Eddie Van Halen is the name of the guitar player. And the band is named after him and his brother, who was the drummer of Van Halen. So when you have a lead singer like David Lee Roth, who's a showman, but the band is better known for the guitar player, that can create problems. So David Lee Roth, after the success of 1984, which was a huge success for him, sold I think it sold 10 million copies when it was released, left the band and went solo. And he had one good solo album. Then his career absolutely tanked. I think he's a radio DJ now, but for a while he worked as an ambulance driver or as an EMT. I can't remember. He worked in that industry, so he was like an ambulance driver. So his career definitely changed in the 90s. And Van Halen have had a few singers, and David Lee Roth came back for a cup of coffee, then he left again. So they're an interesting band in that way.
Okay. Yeah, I always wondered, like, what makes Van Halen like so fondly remembered. Again, I know
it's the
Eddie
guitar.
Van Halen has this reputation of the guitar, but is that really it?
That's it. Yep.
Fair enough. And I think this is just not for me. I think listening to it with my modern ears is just I know it's the original, but it seems dated.
Yep.
Even you got me to listen or watch the music video, and that to me, like, that's what, when I picture 1970s, like, that's what I see in my head. I see guys with like open undone button-up shirts with like just like full chest hair out and everything, and the tight leather pants, the long hair. That's what I think the 70s was.
That's
so
classic,
I guess it's spot on.
Well, in 2009, VH1 named this the 9th greatest hard rock song of all time. And Rolling Stone named this number 68 on the best heavy metal songs of all time in 2023. So it is a well-famous song.
It's interesting that this is considered like hard rock, because to me, it doesn't seem that hard or like intense,
Right.
I guess that's just like a naming quirk of the genre.
Well, again, we're talking about the original, right? Like, this is the original sound of hard rock. This is what hard rock sounded like when it started. And now it's gone in a completely different direction. So, when I say this is the original, that's sort of what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. Very interesting. Looking at the genesis here.
Yeah. I'm going to tell 2 more stories about Van Halen. One is that, have you ever listened to Beat It by Michael Jackson?
Of course. Yeah. Didn't he play the guitar on that?
That's Eddie Van Halen who played guitar on that song.
Yeah. Nice.
And the story goes that at the time, Van Halen had a rule that they didn't perform on anyone else's records outside of the band. And then when Quincy Jones approached Eddie Van Halen about recording the guitar part for Beat It, he was like, "Oh, who's going to know that I played on this Black Kids record?" That's what he actually said at the time.
All right.
No one will know. So yeah, that's Eddie Van Halen on the song Beat It by Michael Jackson. He actually rearranged the song, he said, and he never got paid for it. He just did it as a favor to Quincy Jones. The other funny story about Eddie Van Halen was that in the early 2000s, do you know who Fred Durst is from Limp Bizkit?
Yeah, I know the name, yeah.
Yeah. So Fred Durst is a horrible human being, and he was in a horrible band called Limp Bizkit that had, again, a cup of coffee, and they're beloved by meatheads. But they made a lot of money because they had one really successful album and a few really successful singles. And Eddie Van Halen was invited over to Fred Durst's house to play some music with him. And Eddie Van Halen brought his guitars over. And at one point he had to leave. And then when he went back, the mansion was locked and he couldn't get his guitars back. And after trying to contact Fred Durst many times, he couldn't get a hold of Fred Durst. Then Fred Durst had his guitars locked up in his mansion. So he showed up in a tank and drove through the gates of the mansion and pulled a gun and got his guitars back. So I thought that was a funny story because Van Halen had so much money that the guitar player owned a fucking tank
Yeah, that's insane.
and drove a tank down Beverly Hills to get his guitars back.
Fair enough. Hey, I respect that. That's probably
Yeah.
the best thing I've ever heard about Eddie Van Halen. That makes me
too.
like him the most.
Yeah, me too. It's that's a pretty funny story. You know, we don't really get this anymore from rock and roll people. Everyone is so tame and nice, and you know, we don't really get that much. I think it's still something that is done in the hip hop community, but in rock and roll, it's so tame now and so quiet. It's so sad.
Yeah, it's true. Bring back dudes driving tanks.
Right? We need a little bit of danger in rock and roll again. It's so boring at the moment.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that one.
I don't know, because we're taking a break. Have you thought about a song for me to listen to while on break?
I have actually. Yeah.
Okay. What's your song?
You're going to listen to the song X-Ray Eyes by LCD Sound System. Their
Okay. Yeah.
new-ish single.
Oh, cool. I like LCD Sound System. And we're going to continue listening to music from bands that I hate that I think have released one good song. And we're going to listen to the Red Hot Chili Peppers with the song Give It Away.
Okay.
I hate the Red Hot Chili
nice.
Peppers. Yeah.
Well, you know, I like some songs by them for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm vaguely familiar with this one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
That's the song we're going to break down when we come back.
Cool.
Okay. Let's talk about this week in music history. This one's a sad one. So on this day, which is December 22nd, Joe Strummer of the Clash died at the age of 50 in 2002. So he was quite young. He's my age when he died, which is quite sad.
Wow.
Obviously, Clash, amazing band, London Calling, combat rock, you know, some of the greatest punk rock anthems of all time. So he died on this day at the age of 50.
Yeah. Love the Clash. So many great songs by them. I really, really took to them when we listened to them. So yeah, that's it's too bad. Rest in peace.
Yeah. So we're going to listen to my favorite Joe Strummer song, London Calling. So Darren, just hit play with London Calling.
Calling to the faraway town. Now war is declared and battle come down. London calling.
All right. Well, we talked about what we're doing for Christmas and New Year's. So yeah, that's about it. I hope you have a really nice New Year's and Christmas. And to all our listeners, I hope you have a really lovely one out there as well.
Yes. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays to everybody, and thanks
Yeah.
for another great year of Just Hit Play. Thank you for listening.
So you're going to be in a much better position. Apparently, I live in Australia. If you're the first time listening to this episode, Nick lives in Toronto, Canada. There is a huge heat wave that is coming to Australia where they're predicting some temperatures in the mid 40s, or like even close to like 50. But that's more Sydney, Melbourne, and I'm in Brisbane, which is hot anyway. But yeah, there's a really nasty heat wave coming.
Oh God. Yeah. Good luck. Stay safe. Keep those fans going.
Yeah, right in time for Christmas. You know, what we normally do is on Christmas Day we go to the beach and go for a swim. So that's very different Christmas than I was used to growing up in Canada.
Yeah. I wish. And we're not even getting White Christmas this year. It doesn't seem
Is it pretty mild there?
Yeah. No snow has really stuck yet in Toronto, at least. So
Okay.
not looking good for that.
No, not at all. Well, let's listen to our independent artist this week, which is a band called Tyde, spelled Tyde. And let me tell you how I came across this band. As I mentioned before, I was working at a university graduation, and I was photographing a lot of graduates. And what they do at these graduations is they have a performer playing music, sort of like, you know, entertaining families that are there and the masses. I heard this singer, and I really enjoyed her performance. And as I was listening to her more and more, I really loved her voice, and I thought the music was really, really good. And when her set ended, I, you know, managed to get her before she left and asked her if we could play her song on the podcast. The name of the singer is Elle Belfonte, and the band she was in, as I said, is Tyde, and they released this really lovely song called "A Latte Party," which is really funky, and I love the bass line, and the horns are fantastic on the song. So we're going to listen to "Latte Party." And yeah, Merry Christmas, everyone. We'll talk to you in a few weeks.
car. I don't think this will get me very far, 'cause it's rough out there and no one cares. Another day, another night, I'll never buy a house in this life. Maybe I should blame my avocados. Maybe I should blame the holes that I torn in my jeans. Boomers say I won't get a job with clothes like these, and now there's sunburn on my knees, and soon there will be no more peace. Drinking on my own with my guitar. This won't get me very far. This won't get me very far. Tomorrow maybe I will fix my car, but I want to buy a latte and then go to a party. Hey! Maybe I should blame my avocado. Maybe I should blame the hole in the ozone. Boomers tore those holes with the companies and their fossil fuel factories, and now there is sunburn on my knees. Drinking on my own with my guitar. This won't get me very far. This won't get me very far. Tomorrow maybe I will fix my car, but I want to buy a latte and then go to a party. Hey! Drinking on my own with my guitar. This won't get me very far. This won't get me very far. Tomorrow maybe I will fix my car, but I want to buy a latte and then go to a party. Hey! Drinking on my own with my guitar. This won't get me very far. This won't get me very far. Tomorrow maybe I will fix my car, but I want to buy a latte and then go to a party. Hey!
You've been listening to Just Hit Play. To contact your hosts, Peter and Nick, or to be featured on an episode as musical talent, email justhitplay7300@gmail.com. Keep up to date with news and announcements by following on Instagram and Facebook, linked in the show notes. Subscribe on your favourite podcatcher to tune in next week for more sonic delights. And if you can't wait till then, check out the Just Hit playlist on Spotify, linked in the show notes. A special thanks to Braden Munch for the theme song, and thank you for listening.